Well, happy Mother's Day to all. And this is also a designated children's Mass. So first, I want to thank all of the people who submitted such lovely pictures of their mothers. We've been having them on the screens here and have been projecting them for a while, and that will continue after Mass. Also, visit the website. You'll see all the beautiful pictures there on the Facebook page. It's really nice. It's very beautiful. We're very happy with the response. And on that same line of pictures, because like I said, it's Mother's Day and a designated children's Mass, we want pictures of all of your graduating seniors. Yes, we do. We want those pictures. We want you to email that picture to us. We want the first and last name of your child, the school they attended. And we need it by this Tuesday, May 12th, so we can get it in the online paper. We need it by this Tuesday, May 12th. So, we're honoring the mothers and honoring the children. I thought, how can I talk about mothers and children at the same Mass? And I decided, well, there's one way I could do it. I could tell you a story about my childhood that involves my mother. But I can't do it standing over here. I have to walk over there. You see, it's like at a children's Mass. Go over here. Back when I was 9 years old, imagine Father Joe at 9 years old. I had a full head of hair and big, thick glasses. And Mrs. Paxton was my fourth grade teacher at Walker Elementary, now called Walker Winter Elementary, in what's now Canton Township. And I remember the day Mr. Theodore walked into the classroom. Mr. Theodore was a music teacher. You see, back in the 50s and the 60s, the government put a lot of emphasis on the fine arts. It actually evolved from a program that was started during the New Deal. And Mr. Theodore was hired to teach children how to play musical instruments. And he came into our classroom with 3 instruments: a violin, we all know what a violin is, a viola, which is just a little bit bigger than a violin, played the same way, and cello. Or, if you're really technical, a violoncello, because that's its fancy name. This is a cello, or a violoncello. Here it is. It's an old instrument, goes back to the late Renaissance, and many of the composers from the Baroque composers on down wrote lots of music for this fine instrument. Well, Mr. Theodore came in and he asked the kids if they wanted to try the violin and the viola, and many did. But I was the only kid big enough to handle the cello. I always was a pretty tall kid. And so I sat behind it. I thought it was pretty neat. That's the word I would have used when I was 9, pretty neat. So I came home and I told my mother, I want to learn to play the cello. My mother looked me right in the eye and said, what's a cello? So I tried to explain it to her. I tried to say, well, Ma, it's like a real big violin or a small string bass. Well, my mother said she'd think about it. Well, when my mother said she would think about it, I learned not to get my hopes up too much. Because that was a nice way of her saying, probably ain't going to happen. Then Sunday came around, and my mother turned on her favorite show, Lawrence Welk. She never missed Lawrence Welk. And Lawrence Welk played that great big band music and songs from the 40s, and my mother loved that show, and my dad loved that show. But that big band had a cellist. And that lady, on that day, the Sunday, right after I asked my mother if I could play the cello, that cellist played Ave Maria. And my mother said, this is my favorite song. And then she looked at me and I said, Ma, that's a cello. And she said, okay, I'll take care of the lessons. But you got to learn to play that song. So, when I think about that moment with my ma, I know my mother always encouraged me in education. She had two pillars of life that she lived on. One was education, and the other was faith. You must have a good education, you must have a strong faith. It was my mother that taught me the Our Father, the Hail Mary, and the Angel of God. And I still remember kneeling with my sisters before the statue of the Infant of Prague, learning to pray these prayers. So on this day of Mother's Day, and if you're a child out there, think about what your mother has already taught you in your life, things about your faith and things about your education. And as you grow older, you'll come to more and more appreciate what she taught you and how that helped you become the fine young men and women that you will have arrived to be because of her presence in your life. And furthermore, you will look back and you will realize that the love of a mother in your life is one of the ways God shows you how much He loves you. And now, to honor my mother and your mothers on this beautiful Mother's Day, we'll play Ave Maria.